It's another 5-day school week in our 4th grade classroom right after Thanksgiving break. Come along and check out the learning that we have accomplished this week. To start off, today is Monday, November 30th, 2020. It is the last day of November. We also had a lunar eclipse earlier this morning somewhere on the planet. So that was an interesting topic that the students and I talked about sometime today. And we started our morning with our social studies lesson. So we have been doing a lot of geography and social studies, but now we are putting our geographers' hats down, picking up our historian's hat, and we have started going over Florida's history from the Native Americans to 1850. So check out what we ended up doing. I love these lesson guides that come with our TCI social studies curriculum, and I can edit them by hiding slides I don't want to show because maybe it's an activity that my students can't do since we're virtual. But I love it because it allows our lesson to go at a pace that the students are engaged with. So this is our essential question. And then we went ahead and started looking at the preview by looking at this picture and finding clues that let us know about the Native Americans that lived in Florida. So then we went ahead and read section 1, which is in our social studies e-textbook. We went ahead and did that. And after that, we went back to the lesson guide, which is a presentation. And we started talking about 3 different graphic organizers that we're going to be using in this chapter. And we were looking at each of these paragraphs. So we had 3 paragraphs and trying to decide which graphic organizer will help us organize this information best. So in this one, I believe a main idea 1 would be great. And then we go next to the next one, paragraph 2, talked about positive and negative effects of missions. And then paragraph 3 gave us a lot of different years. So timeline would be a really good one. So we went over the vocabulary word that we'll be learning, and then we did this activity where we matched each vocabulary word to its definition and we could check our answers. And we started going into section 2, which we already filled out. But section 2 went over the 5 Native American groups that we wanted to focus in for this particular chapter, which is right here. So we were able to also look at this map of Florida to see where the Indian tribes lived. And after that, we read information about each of them. So we read about the Appalachians, the Timucuas, the Calusas, the Tequestas, and I missed one, which was the Tocobagas. So we learned about each of these, and then we completed this by going ahead and matching the picture that went with that particular Native American group. And sorry, I forgot to zoom out of there. All right, so then after that, we went ahead and talked about why these images described each of these tribes correctly. And we read section 3, which talked about the different European explorers that first came to Florida. So we read about all these Spanish explorers. As you can see, we also did some highlighting together. And then they were able to put a timeline together of each explorer and the impact that they had in Florida when they came. So once we did that, we read section 4, which talked about Spanish missions. And we had already sort of visited virtually, not sort of, we did, in chapter 5, a mission in Tallahassee. So this one gives us a little bit more about the Spanish settlements in Florida and Spanish missions and how they affected Native Americans. So we talked about the positive effects and the negative effects. So it was a T-chart, and we were able to complete that. So that's where we left it for today. Tomorrow we'll continue with section 5 and looking at Spain versus Great Britain and France as they try to get control over Florida. I love these interactive presentations that the curriculum comes with. Not all of them have the same activities, but it's a great way to engage the students with the content and get them actively talking and discussing the information that we are learning about. So we really had some great discussions during that lesson for sure. And then, of course, one question that they raised is, if the Native Americans were here in the United States or in North America for thousands of years, how did they get here? So I went to Google Earth, and Google Earth is amazing. And I showed them North America, and then I said one theory is that Alaska is very close to Russia over here, and that this sea at one point was frozen. Some people believe that they crossed this frozen sea over, but there's other theories as well. We did go over the fact that we don't know for sure because there is no evidence to guarantee or prove that that happened for sure, but that is one way we can kind of think about that for now. So as you can see, great discussions during our social studies lesson. Then they had art, then they had iReady time, and then it was time for math. In math, we're starting with chapter 5, factors, multiples, and patterns. So we went ahead and went over show what you know, and I showed them a vocabulary video on factors and prime numbers, which was very catchy, and they absolutely loved it. And we also did a math on the spot video that went over factors and how we model factors. That took us to our Nearpod lesson, which I put together with a couple of snippets that I took from our lesson per se in our textbook. So we had our essential question, modeling factors. I talked about rainbow factors, and I wanted to go ahead and show this strategy because it's one that I've used with my students in the past, and I took them to Jamboard. Now, some people have asked me in the past, how do I put Jamboard inside of Nearpod? And the way that you do that is, let me get out of here so I can show you. So let me go back to my Nearpod. I can go over here. Let's go to edit so you can see. Basically, what you want to do first is you do want to have your Jamboard ready to go. So this was the Jamboard that I created. I just did a very simple one. This is just the text box that is down here. I did 2 of them. I did one in the back so that it can have this like drop shadow effect. And then I inserted with the image icon right here. I just searched for a rainbow GIF, and I just copied it and I put it on either side. The students weren't able to see the GIF during the Nearpod lesson. That's one thing that I've noticed. So Jamboard is a little limited in Nearpod that you can't see the images, but they were able to see the text and they were able to see my writing as I demonstrated the rainbow factorization. And please pardon my messy mouse writing with my right hand. And I'm a left-handed person, so at least the students understood what I was writing. So once you have this, you want to make sure you go to share. And when you go to share, you want to make sure you go to anyone with the link. So you want to go ahead and copy the link. And once you copy the link, you want to go back to your Nearpod. You want to go to add a slide and then web content. Once you're there, you're going to paste your link. You can test the link to make sure it works and then save. That will make sure that your Jamboard is within your Nearpod lesson. And once you're done showing the Jamboard, you can move along and it'll move the slide for the students. Now to do this, so see I put it down here for me. I don't need it since I already have it, so I'm just gonna delete it. But it's up here, so web content, that's where it is. Now, once it shows for the student, you wanna make sure you have your Jamboard open in a separate, tab up here. You want to click on that tab and you want to make sure that when the students go there, you go to your Jamboard too so that they can see what you are doing. One thing that I like to do is that on my iPad, I also sign into Nearpod as if I'm a student so that I can see what they're seeing. And that's how I was able to tell that they couldn't see the images. But at least they were able to see my sloppy writing so that they could understand rainbow factorization. And we tried it with a couple of different numbers so that the students can understand. So that was good. And now I'm going to take you back to the next thing that we ended up doing, because we did spend some time in the Jamboard looking at different rainbow numbers and factors, trying to find the factors of numbers. We also talked about prime and composite numbers. So even though I'm not supposed to teach prime and composite numbers in like the next couple lessons, I went ahead and did it because it just made sense to talk about it at that point. So back to Nearpod, once I click next, the slide changes, and then the students had this problem to solve. They just needed to show me different ways to make 24. So they went ahead and did that so that they can find the factors of 24. We did the same with this one with 32. This one, they had a grid, and once they were done, they had the picture that showed them the different ways they can model the arrays for 32. And those other 2 questions were draw it before this one. And we also went ahead and did this one where they just drew a line to connect which arrays modeled each of these factors. And then we left off with this one, which are all the different ways to make 28. So we didn't quite finish, we'll finish tomorrow, but it was an engaging lesson because I could see whether they were understanding it or not as they were working out their problems in the Draw It. So that moves us on to lunch, and after lunch we had reading. So for reading, we started a new unit, which we were supposed to start last week on those 2 days that we had school, but I said, no, I'll just leave it for this week. So we're starting with how can science help us understand how things work? So we're looking at scientific text within reading and also looking at the text structure of cause and effect. So this is my Wonders dashboard, and I just started by first showing them the weekly opener. So I had this image up for them to see and just think about how does it work, and think about the essential question, how can science help you understand how things work? So we talked about this first before I show them the weekly opener video that further goes over the essential question and examples of how science can help us understand how things work. So then after that, we had a great discussion about Isaac Newton, since we are talking about him, and the read aloud, look out below, that these images are connected to, mentioned him and how he talked about the law of gravity. So that also sparked some other interesting conversations. Basically, our reading lesson turned into a science lesson, which is going to happen since the material we're currently reading is scientific based. So it was great. They loved it. And after that, we went ahead and went over the vocabulary, which in Wonders, it comes like this. So we just click on the word, and each word has either a picture with a sentence or a video with a sentence that goes over what the word means. And we can also go into routine, and it gives us define, example, ask, so that the students have a better understanding of the words. We then did a practice game for vocabulary, and then it was time for writing. Now for writing, I am very excited to share with you what we did. So remember last week we started on a new prompt, we unwrapped it, and I'll show you how that looked like again. We unwrapped the prompt, and then we reread the sources, and we took it to Padlet. So just a refresher, this is how we unwrap the prompt to find the audience, the purpose, and the task. That's what APT stands for. And then we went into the sources and highlighted information that will help us answer the prompt topic. In this case, what are the dangers that pandas face, and what efforts is China making to protect them or prevent them from becoming extinct? So we read that, and then we took it to Padlet. And this is how our Padlet looks. I did the shelf one where you had different columns. So first we started with these 3 columns: dangers pandas face and efforts by China to prevent extinction. I also included the sources here. So read the sources here. The students can click that, and that's by just doing a file upload in a note. And the students had access to the text so that they can have the correct text evidence to put into each of these columns. Now to do that, you just click on the plus sign, and you just click on the upload button, and this menu will come up, and you can pick a file from there and look to see where it is, and then you can upload it, and it'll show up like this. So the students went ahead and added their evidence, but what was great was once their evidence was added for both parts of the prompt that we have to answer, I went ahead and created 3 more columns over here. I created bucket 1, bucket 2, and bucket 3. So we were bucketing the evidence, and I love, love, love this shelf Padlet, because as the students were writing their evidence over here, I had them then click and drag their evidence into the correct bucket to classify their evidence. So this one was pandas have their homes pillaged and destroyed. So that's deforestation danger. He's just missing the source where he got that from. But that's basically what they were doing, which is why these columns are basically empty. And now these columns are full, so that we put the correct evidence where it belongs. The students absolutely loved moving their evidence into the correct column, and it was a more engaging and interactive way to do bucketing the evidence, which I love. All right, so that is all I have for you for today, Monday. I know it was long. I may have to just break up this video into a part 1 and a part 2 eventually, like maybe from today on Wednesday and then Thursday, Friday by themselves. I don't know. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. All right, so I hope you got some great ideas from what I shared. And if you did, comment down below. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. But wait, there's more. I completely forgot to tell you how we started our day. So I had a new good morning slide, and I wanted to share with you what I came up with. It is something super simple. I just wanted them to engage as we waited for everyone to log in, so have a soft start to our day. So I had them do their favorite superhero in the chat. I added my Beatmoji. I added a GIF, and I had the schedule of how our day would go. While they came in, this was projected on the screen. So I had my screen shared, and I also had a safe share.tv Zelda and chill music, so lo-fi music playing in the background, so that they had an opportunity to share and get a soft start to their day. I also realized after editing last week's video that I completely forgot to show you my video for Flipgrid for the balloon design for Macy's parade on Flipgrid. So I wanted to kind of walk you through it and show you how I go about creating a video on Flipgrid. So I am currently in my teacher Flipgrid. As you can see, I've had 4 topics so far this year. I want to incorporate Flipgrid a little bit more often. As you can see, I've mostly just used it in September and in November, so like every other month. But I do like to use different kinds of technology from time to time to engage my students in different ways, because if you use the same thing over and over, it can become redundant and not as engaging to the students. But anyway, here is my balloon design for Macy's parade. As you can see, I have 18 responses. Some of them are extra responses because the students are not able to see their responses until I approve them. So they probably thought that it wasn't there, or some of them were having a little bit of glitches with it. But I'm going to go into actions, and I'm going to go to record a response. And this is how it comes out. And I know the image looks a little bit weird on your screen because I'm currently filming in my webcam and it's like widescreen. But as you can see, we have a couple of different options here. So I can upload a clip if I've already filmed something like on my phone or another device. I can mirror the video so that it's like this. I can mute it so you don't hear what I am saying while I'm recording. I can record my screen as well. You have different options, and then you have different effects. You have filters that you can use. So there's a wide variety of filters that are fun and students may enjoy using them. If you have students that are camera shy, there are some that are like this, where you can kind of tell that they're in the camera, but they're pixelated or they're bricks. And you also have this one. I'm going to go ahead with a kind of like that, like great, like old classic, since we were talking about Macy's and the history of Macy's. So once I choose that, I can go back to effects. I can choose a frame. So there's different frames that you can also choose from, or different effects. I'm going to probably choose this one because it looks very magical. Or like you can have this one, or breaking news. So yeah, there's a lot of fun, different things that the students can use as they create their little Flipgrid. But I'm going to go back to this one, and I'm going to go back to effects. And then I can also choose to add emoji stickers. So there's a lot of different emojis that you can use, and they're not loading up for me for some reason, but they should be loading. And because it has loaded for me before, I don't know why it's not loading. But again, you have emoji stickers. You can add text boxes, which we'll go back to that in a minute. You can draw, so you can actually draw a mustache if you want, whatever you want. And there's different colors, and the thickness is there too. You can also go into board, which I love. I'm going to use this one right here because I'm going to be talking about why I want my specific balloon to be in the Macy's parade. But you have the grid background, the other one, the grid background with the dots, and the actual grid background with the lines. You have this one, it's kind of stargazy. It's cute. You have a white one, you have a blackboard one, black or green, and then you have rainbow or galaxy. I'm going to go back to the notebook one, and I'm going to go back. And you also have photos, so you can actually insert a picture if you want to include it. So this is an option that I gave my students in case they wanted to draw a picture of their balloon and then include it in their Flipgrid video. So I'm going to go back to text, and in text, I'm going to use classic, and I'm going to put Macy's balloon. Okay. And that's going to be my little text box. And once I have it there, I can move it to where I want it. I can also resize it so that it fits. So I'm going to make sure that I resize it and I fit it right where I want it. And then I had the students actually try to tell me why they wanted to include the one they want to include. So I'm going to go into effects again. I'm going to put photo, and I'm going to put my Jigglypuff one because that's the one that I wanted to use. And there she is. So I had the students have a couple of options. They could just give an image of the balloon that I wanted them to have, that they wanted to include actually. And then they can go ahead and tell me why they wanted to include that balloon. So let's say this is what I want, and I can go ahead and start recording. So for my Thanksgiving Day parade balloon that I would like to encourage Macy's to add is Jigglypuff. And I'm going to explain to you why. So once you have that video clip recorded, you can go to next. I can then either, be done with it. And let's say this is all I want to add, or I can add more. So now I want to take out Jigglypuff, right? And I want to include another text box to explain why I want Jigglypuff to be the balloon that I want to include there. So I don't know if I want that one. I can actually change the font, the color, the stroke, and the background if I want. So let's go ahead and do typewriter. Let's do that. Jigglypuff is super cute. So let's go ahead and move that over so we can resize it. Let's see. Jigglypuff is super cute, and we can go back in and put a period. And then we can add another text box. Oh, we have this one here, so let's trash it. And let's add another text box. And let's continue going with typewriter. Many kids love Pokemon, period. So it's just a matter of just having fun. So let me go ahead and finish this, and I'll show you my finished product. I want to quickly show you so that you can see how big this one looks. And it's, even if I put it to be sort of the same size as the other font, it's not going to fit. If you do this, it kind of like shrinks it a little bit. So it's up to you, or you can probably go back in and hit enter, and that'll move it down so that it can fit a little bit better. So just so that you know the different ways that you can manipulate the text box if need be. So let me just do the final tweaks in this. And now let's go ahead and record the last clip for that. All right. So let's do it. Some of the reasons why it may be a good idea to add Jigglypuff to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is because she is super cute. And many kids just love Pokemon. And can you imagine all the people that get to see her and all the smiles that will be in their faces as she floats on by in the parade? So I hope that you will consider Macy's adding Jigglypuff to a future Macy's Day Parade. All right, so as you can see, I went ahead and did that clip. So when I click next, we can see how it all threads together. Click on that clip, and I'm going to trim it. So I'm going to move it a little bit over. Let me see if that will be good. Let's see. Yeah, so let's trim it up to here. So now we confirm it. I still need to maybe trim a little bit more in the first clip and a little bit from the second clip. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and I'll show you the end product. All right, I have gone ahead and trimmed both clips. So let's see the end finished product before I go to next. So for my Thanksgiving Day parade balloon that I would like to encourage Macy's to add is Jigglypuff. And I'm going to explain to you why. Some of the reasons why it may be a good idea to add Jigglypuff to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is because she is super cute. And many kids just love Pokemon. And can you imagine all the people that get to see her and all the smiles that will be in their faces as she floats on by in the parade? So I hope that you will consider Macy's adding Jigglypuff to a future Macy's Day Parade. All right, so once you're happy with what you have, because you can add more clips, you can add different things, you just go to next, and then you get to go ahead and choose your display name. So I'm just gonna put Miss Sanchez. There's no reason to add a link, it's optional, no reason to give a title, it's fine. You can go ahead and select a frame that you want to represent the thumbnail for your video. I'm just gonna go ahead and cancel, or I can just go ahead and take a selfie. So let me take out the effects. Now let's take a selfie. And once you take your selfie, you just confirm, and that'll be like the thumbnail to your video. Or I could have just chosen to have Jigglypuff, and then you submit. And it's uploading your video until success. It is now visible to other people, and it will be visible to anyone that has access to that topic so that they can see my response as well. So I hope that this little tutorial on Flipgrid has helped you out in some way. I hope that was useful for you so that you can see how a video can be created in Flipgrid, the many different options that are available, and how it can be an engaging way to have students discuss and share information from lessons. All right, so now I will definitely go, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Hello, it is now actually Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020. Welcome to December. We're finally in the last month of 2020 and the holidays are upon us. Whatever holiday you celebrate, I wish you a lot of happy holidays. So I want to just go ahead and let you know, yesterday we pretty much just piggybacked on what I mentioned on Monday and finished up a couple of activities there. So there wasn't that big of a difference other than in reading, we did read the shared read in our Wonder series and had a nice discussion about force and motion, cause and effect. Did a lot of highlighting with the students on the cause and effect relationships that they observed and learned about gravity and friction and forces. So that's what we did. And in math, we just continued the Nearpod lesson that I mentioned on Monday. And social studies, we just wrapped up the chapter and we read it all the way to the end and continued to do those interactive activities together within our social studies e-textbook lesson guide online, all that stuff. So that's basically the rundown of what we did yesterday. In writing, we had some technology glitches that I'm just gonna be real, because not everything goes according to plan or how you expect it to go. So I had planned for the assignment to be available during writing time, but Microsoft Teams took forever to post the assignment. It actually ended up posting 30 minutes after dismissal. It could have been just that there were a lot of people on Microsoft Teams at the time that the assignment was gonna populate, but we winged it and we were flexible with what was happening. And guess what? We also had another technological glitch during writing as well, so we weren't able to fully do what we planned to do, so we're moving it for tomorrow as well, but I'll talk to you more once I show you what I plan for the students to complete. So let's start with reading. For reading, we took it to Nearpod, so let me just go into my zoomed out preview. This is the same image that I showed you on Monday, which goes with this lesson. And we started by first having the students complete a matching pairs activity where they paired the word in capital letter, which is the concepts that we're learning in all of these stories, along with the meaning behind them, so that the students can see and review these concepts and they will be able to apply them to the passages that we were reading today. So that's matching pairs. And then we went ahead and took a virtual field trip because our main selection is going to talk about forces and motion in an amusement park. So of course I had to show them the Hulk roller coaster at Islands of Adventure in Orlando, which is one of the Universal Studios parks. So the students were able to go all around and see Fantastic Four Cafe, the Dr. Doom Towers. This is Marvel Island. And they can see the Silver Surfer, and the roller coaster goes over this water, and here's the cart, and you can actually zoom in and out of the image so you can kind of see how the passengers look in the car. So I had the students take it all in, and after that I actually had them see a video on YouTube that you can embed in your Nearpod lesson that shows a perspective of the Hulk roller coaster, which was super cool. So not only, as you can see, not only were the students able to see how the roller coaster actually looks as you are looking at it going around, but if we scroll the video, there is a part where they get a first-person perspective of actually riding the roller coaster. So let me go back a little bit because I think I went a little bit too far ahead. Let me look for the correct place so that I can actually show you. Okay, so this is the start of the first person point of view of being in the front of the roller coaster. So the video continues. As you can see, it's super exciting, and it has the music that it plays when you actually ride the roller coaster. So we watched it. And after that, I had the students work on a collaborative board where they had to explain the movement, what forces explain the movement of the roller coaster using the concepts that we're learning, gravity, friction, and inertia. So they were able to share that. And then we reviewed context clues, which is our vocabulary strategy. And then I had the students work on another matching pairs where they were matching our vocabulary word with the definition. We went ahead and started reading our main selection. This slide is out of order, but I did go over the slide first and then I went back to this. That's the beauty about Nearpod. You don't have to go in a linear sequence. But yeah, so we first reviewed the genre and then we started reading the main selection, which took us to also review the cause and effect. And what I did is we will read a little bit about the selection. And then after certain parts, I will have another matching pairs activity where the students had to match the cause and effect that were mentioned in those sections of the story. So when we were looking at this, we were able to practice our cause and effect strategy, comprehension strategy, and then continue reading the story and learning about forces and motion. And again, they will have another cause and effect matching pairs until we continue reading the story. And when we finished it, they had one final cause and effect matching pairs. And then I actually put their selection test within Nearpod so they could answer those 13 questions right there. And I can immediately see how they did on that assessment. So then after that, we took a little break and went ahead and worked on our writing, which like I told you, we had some glitches. And the glitch was I had initially prepared a Word document that I shared through the assignment in Microsoft Teams so that the students can just type into it and I can see their work and they can submit it, etc. This was the document I created. So these are just in the margin. The students don't have to do anything with that. They can just start typing here. That's what I wanted them to do. However, when the assignment showed up in Microsoft Teams, it took away the header because I did put this title in the header. So the header was not showing and these things were not showing correctly. And I had done a page break so that the passages, the sources will be there for the students and everything was all jumbled up. It just didn't look right. So I had to quickly think on my feet, be flexible and figure out, well, what has worked for me in the past that can allow the students to type their essay, because that's actually what they're doing now. Now on their own, they are typing their informative essay about pandas. So the only thing that has worked for me in the past that I figured would work is to put it on PowerPoint. So I did it on PowerPoint. I just transferred everything over to PowerPoint, put those images in the background so the students can't move anything around. And the only thing that they could do is type into a text box where they can type their essay. So this is how the assignment looks. They will click on here and I had made it so that every student had their own copy and could edit their own copy. But it's not showing me to edit because I'm in the teacher view. But if it was in the student view, let me see if I can find one so I can show you. Here is the student view. As you can see, they can click on the side to go through the prompt, and then the sources are there for them to refer to as they type. So we only had enough time for them to write their introduction. This is one of my student examples. And then tomorrow we'll continue and they'll finish writing the entire essay. But I did want to section this off so they knew, okay, introduction, then we have the body paragraphs and then conclusion at the bottom. And then I wanted them to have access to the writing prompt as well as the sources so they can get their references and add those details into their writing so they can have the evidence to back up what they're explaining. So again, sometimes things don't go as planned, but I try to do my best. And the students were so awesome. They were like, don't worry, Ms. Sanchez, we understand. We were just talking and chatting while I was trying to figure out a solution, but I'm just being real, keeping it real. It just happens. So I just wanted to let you know, whenever we had a break, I used timers that I learned from a teacher on TikTok. Right now, it escapes me what her TikTok handle is, but it is a YouTube channel called Time and Timers. They have a variety of different timers that have different themes, and they have a Minecraft one, so that's the one that I've been using. But just to show you, I'll link them down below. This is the YouTube channel, and if you just click on videos, you can see all the different timers. So right now they have like a Santa one with 1 minute timers going all the way up to 60 minutes, and they have different themes. So as we scroll, you can find, and they're like loading. I just want to find the Minecraft one, which are right here. So these are the Minecraft ones. So today we use the 10-minute timer and the 5-minute timer. These do not have background music, so in the background I was playing my Minecraft lo-fi that I shared with you all in the past that I have through Save Share TV, and it was playing in the background while the timer was in the screen, and they were noticing what time we had until we started class again. So then after the break, we will move on to our next lesson. Now after lunch, we went into math, and this looks very similar to what I showed you on Monday, but this is another lesson. This is lesson 5.3. We were going over common factors, so I reviewed this again, the rainbow factors and the divisibility rules, and the students started working on this problem, which we first looked at the read, the plan, and then it was time for a drawing activity where they listed the factors of each of these three numbers and found the common factors, and they kept doing this. So these go over the solution after they did the draw it activity. But as you can see, they had several draw it problems where they were doing the same concept, so that I make sure that the students had ample time and ample practice before they take their mid-chapter checkpoint tomorrow. So that was math. And in science, I kept it pretty simple because we only had about 30 minutes of science on Wednesday because they start with Spanish in the morning, like I mentioned, I think it was 2 weeks ago. So I just took them to the e-textbook, their science e-textbook, and we started going over how we measure matter and basically going over the law of conservation of mass. So we first looked at our local to global connection, and the picture is not loading, but there is a picture there that is supposed to show like baking accessories. And then after that, let me go to the next page. After this, we went over mass, which is great because we were talking about that in reading this morning. And we went over the law of conservation of mass, which again led to another interesting conversation about weight and how you weigh differently in the universe. I took them to a Brain Pop video that talked about the law of conservation of mass, which talked about water and the molecules that make up water, and that led to a conversation about, wait, can we create water? I'm like, no, water can't be created. And then they're like, wait, but how did water get into the planet? So that led us to go to Google and research and learn more. And I teach them, hey, if you ever have a question, you can always do your own research and make sure you find reliable resources. So yeah, we learned about how water got here, one theory based on the asteroids and comets that have landed on the planet. So yeah, another interesting science lesson. So tomorrow is another day, but I feel like I should end the video here because this is already long enough. Because on Monday, I gave you all the tutorial for Flipgrid. So I'm just gonna end the video here and I'll do a part 2 for the rest of the week, Thursday, Friday, and how it went. So I hope everything is going well wherever you are. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment down below, let me know what you thought or any questions you may have. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell for notifications so you don't miss any future videos. I hope you have a beautiful, magical day, and don't forget to smile. Hello dreamers, wishers, and magical thinkers. Thank you so much for making it to the very end of this video and for showing your support. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do so by clicking on my picture down here. You can also check out my latest videos here and here. Don't forget to believe in the magic that's inside you because you are capable of great things. See you next time.